Hello, good day. I'm filming this vlog a month, well just under a month before I fly to Vietnam and then South Korea. By the time you're watching this vlog, I will already be back from both trips. Which is going to go so fast, but I'm so excited for it. I'm going to be visiting Vietnam and South Korea at the start of September, and I am doing a reading vlog for both of them. The Vietnam vlog will already be live, where I'm reading books set in Vietnam. For this vlog, I'm going to be reading books set in Korea. So I've got these 3 books on my TBR. I personally like to prepare for visiting a new country by reading fiction, consuming information about that country's history and that country's culture through the fiction that I read. I understand it is fiction, but obviously it is based on something real. So I have chosen these 3 books to read before I head to South Korea. We have got Greek Lessons by Han Kang, we have got Kim Jiyoung, born 1982, by Cho Nam-ju, and we have got Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. Now, these 3 books hopefully are all fairly different from each other, or at least that was the goal anyway. I wanted to try and pick 3 books that would give me something different each, which I definitely think they will. I mean, Pachinko, I think, is going to be kind of echoing the way that I felt about The Mountains Sing, which was a book that I read for my reading books set in Vietnam vlog. This is set across multiple generations over nearly 100 years throughout Korea from 1911 to Japan later on. I'm not sure what year they go to Japan, but it's basically following a teenager who falls pregnant. She finds out that her lover is married and she has to marry somebody else and go with them to Japan, and every decision that she makes affects her family for years to come. So this one I think is going to hit really hard. The reviews say it's eye-opening. Deep, broad, addictive history of Korean family in Japan, a powerful story about resilience and compassion. I feel like this one's going to be pretty amazing, to be honest. Then I've got Kim Jiyoung, born 1982. This one is a lot shorter. In fact, both of these 2 are quite short. This one is interesting because the blurb doesn't really give you much away. It tells you that it's following a young woman who's born at the end of the 20th century. Yeah, born at the end of the 20th century. And it raises questions about misogyny and institutional oppression. So it doesn't really give away too much. I think the front cover is very interesting because we've got many repeated pictures with no facial features. On the back it says Kim Jiyoung is, and then lists a lot of different things such as is her own woman, depressed, mad, every woman, a girl born to a mother whose in-laws wanted a boy. I have no idea what to expect from this, but I know a lot of people have enjoyed it and the reviews say that it's fantastic. I don't know if enjoying is the right word actually. I felt like this when I read Lessons in Chemistry. It made me so mad that it was a fantastically written book because it made me so mad, but it made me so mad because of the injustices the women in that book faced. I know that this is a feminist fiction and I know that people have really praised it for that, so I think maybe it's going to make me feel that kind of anger about it. I mean, one of the reviews literally says a howl of anger on the front of it. So we also have this one, and then we also have Han Kang's Greek Lessons. Can we please appreciate the sprayed edges on this because they are stunning. This is the foils edition. It's also a signed edition, which is very exciting. This is following 2 different characters in Seoul. One of them is a young woman she's lost her voice and she is very quiet, and therefore her teacher finds himself drawn to her because he's losing his sight. So they kind of have this bond because of those 2 things, and over the space of a few months she has lost both her mother and the custody battle for her 9-year-old son, and for him he has the pain of growing up between Korea and Germany, being torn between 2 cultures and languages. So it's the story of 2 people being brought together because of their moments of private anguish, the fading light of a man losing his vision, meeting the silence of a young woman who has lost her language. I think it sounds really beautiful. They're all hopefully fairly different from each other. That was the goal that I wanted to achieve when picking out these books. I don't know which one to start with. I think I'm most excited about this one, possibly. So I don't know whether it's wise to start with that or to save it. I don't know. I haven't decided. I will let you know. This is going to be a spoiler-free reading vlog as well, so if you haven't read any of these, I won't be spoiling them. Don't worry, I'm just going to be reacting and letting you know my thoughts, basically, but spoiler-free. I am going to be doing vlogs for both Vietnam and South Korea, so if you would like to see those, do hit the bell and the subscribe button so you are notified when they go live, because they will be live very, very soon. I'm sure I had a fantastic time, so I hope you enjoy watching the vlogs. But for now, I'm going to pick which one to read first and jump in. Also, if you would like to travel with me, I am hosting a group trip to Bali next year in 2024. It's around a year away at the time of filming this, so there's lots of time to book on, but I will leave all the details linked down below, including the itinerary, the dates, the prices, everything you can expect. And if you've got any questions, do feel free to put me a DM, but that is all linked down below if you do want to come away next year to somewhere very exciting. Guys, I feel like my brain isn't braining tonight, or I'm just not smart enough for this book. I started with Greek lessons, my logic being that this was the one out of the three I was least excited about. I'm still looking forward to reading it, but it was like the one I was least excited about, so I thought if I started with this, then I couldn't go wrong, really, hypothetically. Except now my brain isn't braining, and it's just... I'm not retaining anything, okay? I'm not retaining anything, and it's all just going over my head a bit, if I'm being honest. I'm 37 pages into this, 7 chapters, and so far we have met both of our main characters. We have been introduced to the fact that one of them is losing their voice and one of them is losing their sight. There's been some interesting threads introduced alongside that as well. So in the character's storyline that is losing his sight, we're seeing a lot of emphasis on colour and on very visual things, whereas in the character's storyline that is losing her voice, we're seeing a lot of talk about language and her studying language. And I like those two things, the way they've kind of aligned those. The narrative structure of this is okay. There's been some very long sentences at some points which have felt like a constant stream of consciousness from some of the characters, and that's been fine, but at the same time it's thrown me a bit because it kind of jars you out of the paragraph that you're reading and you kind of forget like what the point of what you're reading actually was initially. So I'm not really sure what my thoughts are. I'm really unsure. It felt like there's a maze on the front of this and I feel lost like I'm in this maze, although I don't think I'd be lost if I was in this maze because it looks like a pretty easy maze to leave. Is it a maze? Hang on, is it even a maze? I'm unsure now. I don't know, but I honestly, I don't know what my thoughts are at the moment on this. I really don't. The US cover, is it the US cover? The other cover for it, when I was looking on Goodreads, I don't know if this is the US cover or not, but it's kind of creeping me out. Like, very different vibe. I mean, it's still got the kind of maze-esque element to it, but I definitely much prefer this cover. I actually really do like this cover. I think reading and retaining the little that I have of this so far, this does kind of reflect some of the descriptions that have been given. There's been talk of the colour blue and it matches this, funnily enough. It's like it was done on purpose. I used to read a lot of literary fiction because I thought I would suddenly really like literary fiction, and I do like literary fiction, but I don't like it as much as I would hope to like literary fiction. It definitely depends on the book, but I think it's a genre that I would like to enjoy more than I think I actually do enjoy it. And I knew this was literary fiction going into it, but I think it's probably fallen prey to that whole vibe of me being like, I really want to get it and I really want to like it, but I'm not quite. I'm blaming this on my brain not braining, but you know, whatever. I'll let you know more thoughts as I get further into it. What a cohesive update this is for you right now. I hope this is not setting the tone for the rest of the vlog that I'm already lost and I'm only 37 pages into my first book, which is really short, by the way. Like, look how short it is. It's really not going to take me long to read at all, so I should probably just actually crack on and read it, and then I can let you know my thoughts at the end. I finished Greek lessons and I'm not really sure what I thought of it. I've given it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's one of those books where you read it and you know it's well written and you know that a lot of people are going to love it, but it wasn't for you, and it was not for me. I just didn't click with it. I didn't really vibe with the story, unfortunately. I wanted more of the relationship that forms between these two characters. I don't mean like a romantic relationship, just like whatever it was going to be between the two of them. I thought it would be more of like a companionship where they kind of realised that they had a unity with each other, and it didn't really go down that route. So I don't really have much to say on this, to be honest, unfortunately. I feel like I should have a lot more to say on this because I know that this is a book I should be able to talk a lot about, but it wasn't for me, sadly. I've given it 3.5 out of 5. I always get so stuck on what I rate these kind of books because I'd never want someone to look at my rating and be like, oh, I'm not going to read that if Beth didn't like it. I hope no one ever would do that. And like, obviously, just because one person doesn't like a book doesn't mean you will not like that book. Like, one person's favourite book might be another's least favourite and vice versa. So I always think people should make their own minds up with books, but I'm always trying to be conscious of thinking like, I can see it was well written, it just wasn't for me. But obviously a review is personal, and for me, yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars, unfortunately. I'm not really sure which out of the two I'm going to read next. I might possibly do Pachinko as an audiobook. I haven't decided yet whether I want to do that. I started off listening to The Mountain Sing whilst reading it at the same time, and then I ended up just switching fully to the audiobook because it was just so beautiful and it felt so much more personal. And I kind of think Pachinko might work really well in that way as well. So I might do that and then physically read Kim Jiyoung. I'm not really sure. I'll let you know what I do decide to read next. I'm kind of glad I started with Greek lessons because hopefully it's only up from here. Oh my gosh, this book. I can see why so many people talk about this, and I am barely scratching the surface of progress in this book. So I decided to pick this up as an audiobook, and that gives such a fantastic perspective because it really feels like it's in your head, and it feels like the narrator is making this story just feel even more real. I think that it was quite clever because at the start you're introduced to the mum of the character that we then end up following. I just think that's a really clever technique because as a reader you kind of become comfortable with one character and then actually you realise that that isn't the character that you're going to continue to follow. And I'm aware this is spread across multiple generations, so I assume that we won't be following the daughter for the whole rest of the story, and I know that it's her decisions that kind of impact the future of the story. So far we've seen our main character move to Japan and her experience living there for a fairly short amount of time at the moment, and what it's like to be living there and be Korean. So that side of things is really interesting to see, but also seeing her relationship with her mum and herself being a mum now as well, and how she's kind of taking on everything that life throws at her. She's a really great character to follow. I'm really enjoying reading about her. She's definitely not had the easiest start to things, but she's really quite a powerful character, and I'm really enjoying that side of things. Beautiful writing, beautiful setting, everything in this is just making me want to keep reading it, and I can see it so clearly in my head. I'm really enjoying it. Just a quick update, but I think it's fantastic and I can see why so many people are praising it. I feel like I've been really bad at updating this vlog, but why am I holding them like that? There we go. Right, I have a goal for tonight because I need to finish this vlog because I've been filming this for quite a while now because Pachinko has been one that I've been taking my time listening to. I've been really enjoying this. It's absolutely heartbreaking. I think it's so clever the way that it goes through each generation and you don't really even notice it transitioning down to the next generation. I just think it's so brilliant and oh, so heartfelt. This is fantastic and I really am taking my time with it, but I have about this much left, so I am definitely nearing the end. Yeah, this is gonna happen. I don't know if the end's gonna break me or not, but I feel very invested in this family, so I want to finish that tonight / tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. I think tomorrow's realistic. I want to try and finish that tomorrow. Tonight I would like to finish Kim Jiyoung, born 1982. This is by Cho Nam-ju and this is translated by Jamie Chang. This one I started yesterday, so I haven't spoken to you at all about this yet. This is really short and it's through our main character's life and all the decisions that she kind of makes / is pushed towards making, and her experiences being a woman and experiencing all these different things, and it's really quite heartbreaking actually. She has so many pressures on her of the way to live her life, and you can see the signs of what she wants to do with her life, and all these pressures are just pushing her in this different direction, and you can kind of just see her losing parts of what it is that she really wants. It's really sad to see this happening bit by bit in her life, and basically in such a short amount of time in these pages as well. It just feels so intense. So I'm really liking this one as well, and this is such a fast read. I literally read most of it in one sitting earlier, so I've got barely any of it left, so I'll definitely finish this tonight. So I do plan on trying to finish both of these by tomorrow. That is the goal. Really enjoying both of them. I feel like they're both hitting me in different ways and I just think they're great. So this has been a very successful vlog so far. I will let you know my thoughts when I've started finishing these books. I'm on Patreon sprints at the moment and I just finished this book. This is incredibly powerful. This really packs a punch, and I think this is going to be really prominent for so many women. This is a book about one specific woman, but also about so many other women, and I think that the anonymity that this cover brings along also kind of accompanies the theme throughout this book, that this is actually the situation that our main character finds herself in is one that many other women are finding themselves in. I found this fascinating because not only are you getting this journey and this piece of fiction, but you're also getting all these facts woven through it with backed up citations and resources. There are facts all about women working, about the ratio between boys and girls in schools, about how much time women get to themselves after having a child. There was just so many interesting stats that you could tell this has just been so well researched, and also that it's trying to make a massive point of the inequality that is facing women, not only throughout a school experience, but also a work and then motherhood experience. This is incredibly sad because our main character is kind of being shaped by society to be who so many other people want her to be and not necessarily who she herself wants to be. This has a lot of conversations in it about what women sacrifice when they have children versus what men sacrifice when they have children, and the inequalities that still sit there, and the fact that women are very much generally assumed to be the primary caregiver. Not all the time, not saying it's all the time, but a lot of the time that is the case, and that is very prevalent in this book, and I just think it raises some really interesting conversations there. Conversations about what women have to give up and how it isn't fair that they should be the only people giving something up. And I just think this has a lot to say. I think it was fantastic, beautiful. The writing was fantastic as well. Really easy flow to it, but really makes a point. And also I think kind of highlights the ignorance that some men have towards that kind of side of things. Like there were quite a few different arguably mockable moments towards the men in which they're completely oblivious to what the women are going through, and like are just like surprised that they're not thrilled 24/7. And there's a lot of very easy judgments passed along that line, and it was great. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like sitting on it a little bit, it could go up to a 4.5. I just think it was fantastic. Really good. Can't wait to finish Pachinko as well, although I also don't want that to end. This vlog is bringing me many fantastic books, so I'm gonna finish Pachinko tomorrow. I'll let you know final thoughts. I'm not really ready, but I'll do it. Oh my gosh, I finished Pachinko. This book, it's 5 stars to start with. 5 stars. Just a beautiful, sad story spanning across generations. A majority of this is actually set in Japan as opposed to Korea, but it's following a Korean family in Japan across several generations. I love the fact that we get to see this whole family, and we see them as children, and then we see them as adults, and then we just get to see their whole lives, and there's just something really beautiful about that, and just so connecting, and it just felt so intensely real. And I don't have any intelligent words apparently right now. This book gives an idea of what it was like in the mid-1900s for Koreans living in Japan and the way that they were treated, and we get that perspective through our main characters, but obviously we're seeing them go through the decades and how that treatment changes and develops and how their lives change and develop as well. And I just think the whole experience was incredibly beautiful to read about. I think everyone should read this book. It's one of those books that I think is just so easily consumable and feels so familiar and friendly when you sit down to read it. You just want to know what's happening to these characters. You feel like you're their friend and you want to know what is happening with their lives. You feel incredibly invested. I think listening to this as an audiobook was a great idea. It just, again, felt like somebody was reading me their story, and I love that about audiobooks. I love that they can do that. The descriptions and the wording in this felt so incredibly delicate. Everything was said in such a careful, beautiful way, and I really liked that of the writing style. Very digestible. I know this possibly could be like an intimidating book to look at, but it's honestly, it's so consumable, so digestible, and just definitely not a happy experience, but has happy moments in it that just fill you with pride because you've been following these characters throughout their whole journey, so you just want success for them. But also really, really, really sad moments too that just... So that is a poor review because I can't form words because this book has floored me. So let that be for the review. It's 5 stars. I think it's absolutely fantastic. This and The Mountains Sing that I read for the Reading Books Set in Vietnam vlog, I think are going to sit on my top books of the year because of how much of an impact they've had and how much I think they're going to be ingrained in my brain, how strongly I can see these stories. I think I really enjoy books that go on this kind of journey with our characters from a young age to an older age. I like that because we just really get to know the character and we feel really attached to them. Obviously, good if we like the character, which I did in this book. Read this book is basically the moral of this video. I think this was great. If you read it as a physical book, as an audio book, it's just fantastic. I absolutely loved it, and I love that it pushed me out of my reading comfort zone. I love it when books can do that as well. So great success. I have really enjoyed filming this video. This is now me signing off the video because next week at the time of filming this I'm going to be heading to Vietnam and then South Korea. which I'm so excited about. You'll be watching this, I think, when I'm already back, but I hope that you enjoy the videos that you have to come from my trip. I'll be doing a vlog for each trip, which I'm really excited to share. But thank you so much for watching this video and for going along on this journey with me as I read books set in Korea. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do give a thumbs up and subscribe. It really, really does help. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.